Well, everyone, I wanted to go ahead and give a quick little breakdown of the size differences between a Galaxy Watch 5, that is 44 millimeters, 40 millimeters, and 45 millimeters. Now, personally for me, in my experience, that 44 millimeter size is the one that I will typically use for a normal watch, not only for, the Galaxy watches, but on Apple watches with the 45 millimeter options. Those are the types of sizes that work best for me, but that may not be the best ones for you. So kind of just want to put that out there. Now, the only 45 millimeter watch that is available right now from Samsung is the Watch 5 Pro. So if you get the Pro model, you will be getting that, extra 1 millimeter in size. It is not a big difference if I'm being completely honest, but there is a big difference in some other ways if you're going for that 45 millimeter option. So with the standard Galaxy Watch 5, or even the Galaxy Watch 4, if you want to go that direction, you are getting that 40 millimeter base model. You can go up to 44 millimeters if you want to, and you can go up to 45 millimeters on the Watch 5 Pro, which only comes in one size. Now, starting off with the Galaxy Watch 5, if you're wanting to get that 40 millimeter size, this is a really good option if you are okay with a smaller watch. Now, with that smaller watch, you're having to go ahead and buy those bands that are only compatible with those sizes that you want. So if you're getting that 45 millimeter Watch 5 Pro, those bands are not going to work on that 40 millimeter watch. So that is one thing to keep in mind. However, the build quality of these watches are exactly the same way. The band qualities are going to be pretty much the exact same way as well. On top of that though, you are saving some money if you're getting that 40 millimeter option. The reason for that is because, the 40 millimeter option is a cheaper option that you can get. So that is something that I really do like. And if you're getting a Galaxy Watch 5 and you're okay with that smaller size, I'm sure you can probably buy these specific models in the used market as well for even cheaper than what the 44 millimeter ones are going for. So that is a really cool option for the 40 millimeter one. However, like I mentioned before, that 44 millimeter option is the one that I typically go for. Now, the reason for that, there's a couple of reasons. One, it's a bigger size, and I actually do like that size a lot. And with that bigger display, I'm not having to go ahead and put my watch to my face every time I have to go ahead and read something. I can actually just go ahead and check everything out without having to, if I'm far away from the desk, if my eyesight isn't as good, I can still go ahead and, get a glance at everything I want to from my display. And that is a really cool thing that I have going for it with this specific watch as well. So although it isn't perfect, it gets the job done, from my viewpoint. And that is another big thing that I like a lot. Now, some downsides of the 44 millimeter one, it's more expensive than the 40 millimeter one. The bands can also be sometimes more expensive as well, especially if you're wanting to get them in bundles and stuff. That might be one thing to keep in mind. But a really cool thing is the battery life. Typically, the 44 millimeter one will have a bigger size battery, so that's something I kind of do like there too. So again, you kind of have to play it by ear, but in my specific opinion, that is one thing that's kind of stood out to me. Now, with that battery size, you are getting a substantially bigger size battery on that 44 millimeter Samsung Galaxy Watch. So with that size, 284 milliamp hours for that 40 millimeter one, 410 milliamp hours on that 44 millimeter watch. So although there's not really any features that are only different between one to the other, you are getting a bigger size battery, and that is probably where the bigger differences are probably going to start arising at. Now, the differences between those watches and the new 45 millimeter option that you can get on the Watch 5 Pro is actually pretty crazy. Now, the first thing I want to say is the size difference for the screen size, it's really not that big of a difference, I will be completely honest. However, if you are somebody who's going through and getting something like the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, there's going to be a few differences there. So for one, although the size of the watch isn't different from, in my opinion, for the screen size, it is a much thicker watch. Unless Samsung in the future, if you're watching this 10 years from now, Samsung now makes 45 millimeter the base model, those watches are obviously going to be thinner. But the Watch 5 Pro currently is a much thicker watch than you would probably even imagine. So that might be kind of a disadvantage there too. If you don't want the most expensive watch, then you may not be going for the 45 millimeter one. But the thickness of this watch is also fairly crazy if you ask me. So you are getting a bigger sized watch, but you're also getting a bigger and thicker watch at the same time. So that's probably something to keep in mind. It may not be the biggest deal for most people, but I do think the 40 to 44 millimeter size, because of the thickness, is probably going to be the size that works best for a majority of people out there. When I look at and kind of suggest watches, when I've compared all these watches together, that 44 millimeter one is the one that I prefer the most. It works really well, the battery life is really great, and although you're getting pretty much the same exact features from a 44 millimeter and the 40 millimeter watch, I definitely do think that 44 one is worth it if you are okay with the size. But I like that 40 millimeter watch too a lot, because it's just very easy to buy. They're available all over the place most of the time. The size of it isn't overbearing, and for a lot of people, you might be totally okay with that, kind of like smaller sized watch, and the bands are good and everything like that too. The 45mm Watch 5 Pro though, only select few can wear it, not because it's like a super big watch, but because of the thickness of that watch. The battery life of that watch is great though, so keep that in mind. And the bigger watch you are getting, the better the features are going to be there too in terms of battery life. So in terms of that kind of covers up everything. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.